Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 15. Today, we are welcoming Evie and Tara. They are college besties and are now owners of the Juicy Hemp Co. Tara and Evie bring style and class to the smoke shop world, giving their creative and beautiful touches to things like rolling papers, grinders, lighters, ashtrays, rolling trays, dash jars, and beyond. We are so excited to talk all things Juicy Hemp.
So excited. I mean, coming from one dynamic duo bestie to another female power couple, we were so pumped to have you guys on the show and just learn. And coming from a previous still current stoner, I can't wait to learn more.
Yeah, we're so excited. And I honestly truly believe in the superiority of like a female power duo. I think especially once you really work on your communication, you get that kind of hurdle out of the way. It's just better than any other. Every time we see other businesses, we're like,
yeah, I agree.
Where's the bestie vibe?
Yeah, and watching y'all like going to your website and just seeing everything you're doing is so inspiring. Okay, so first, give me a little bit of like how y'all got here. I know y'all are college besties, right? Okay,
Yes.
So from there, how did this take off?
What's our story?
So we met in biochemistry class, and Evie immediately started spilling tea to me. Like, oh my God, I just want to be best friends. And so literally from then on, she convinced me to drop my minor of biology and change it to English. So then we made all of our classes exactly the same.
That was fun. That was really smart.
And we would watch Real Housewives in class. Like everything we did was together to survive that challenging, horrible, but also fun time of our lives. So we really just were each other's rock during that time.
Yes. And then I think we graduated during the height of the pandemic. So we were seniors. You left for spring break, you didn't come back. And I got a job online working for a dietary supplement company that focuses on products for new moms. So like stuff that stimulates breast milk with like the fenugreek, all that stuff.
Oh, awesome.
So I worked in R&D there, and Tara was bartending, and she would, because we lived like a couple houses down from each other, and she would finish her shift bartending in Green, and she would drive over to my house, and she would come through my back gate, and we'd sit on the porch with a joint and some tea and just talk about our days and what we wanted our lives to look like. And that's kind of when we started realizing, now that we're kind of leaving the college scene, we're moving on with our lives, the smoke shop experience that we were being presented with was so out of alignment with us and what our needs truly were with cannabis that it almost felt like being somewhere that you weren't even really wanted, especially in San Marcos where we went to school, where it's just college fratty boy vibes. So we started, when she would come over, just going and throwing out these ideas and what do we like and what does our stash look like now that we're not dirty and grungy and poor in college. Like, now that I have like a house where when my parents come over, I don't have to hide my stuff because they don't pay my bills anymore. But at the same time, I don't want it to look like I don't want my mom to walk in and be like, like, the whole thing.
Yeah, so, like a college,
what's this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead, it's like we already were finding little trinkets and thrifting things and using them as stash jars and using them as ashtrays, and having tea and having that platter was always a part of like kind of a joke we've always had. So putting that together, almost like you're having a bar cart, but you have this tray where you keep all your stuff, it just became what we feel is closer to how women use cannabis than what the idea that everyone uses the same way as guys do, because it's just not true.
And we
Yeah.
also felt like throughout college, we always passed on the whole cannabis thing was always guys. Like it was the men did it. You texted your guy friend. Like it was never a women's circle type of thing. And once we stopped hanging out with guys like that, because we're adults now and we're kind of like not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
We realized like the dinner party, like that's such a huge part, I feel like, of women's lives, and like the serving and the hosting. So the whole tray thing really played on that hostess vibe.
Yeah. So we came up with the idea and we just started doing research. I mean, everything about this business, we've just Googled. And I remember we were at a wedding. She was like my +1 to a wedding. And we were ordering a bunch of inventory. And it was like Tara was on like 2 phones, setting up a wire transfer and all this stuff. And then we were like, okay, well, we don't have a marketing budget because we just emptied our savings accounts to buy all of this inventory. So
I dropped out of grad school and used the
Yes.
tuition money because Evie was like, you should drop out. No, I would not. I crossed my T's, dotted my I's my
Yeah.
whole life. I followed every single,
Mhm.
checked every box. And I was like, I would never do that. And then I was like, And I just friggin' click and
yeah, it was risky, but I really think it paid off. And we got to learn so much about social media marketing and
Mhm.
how to use that and what we wanted to use it for. So now we're in a really exciting stage where we get to elaborate on that first idea that we had and develop it into a business that isn't just about getting our products in every smoke shop or whatever. It's really more about giving women an arena to use cannabis and learn about it and not feel shame to ask questions or to learn different ways of consumption or anything like that they feel completely at home in, that we just don't feel like exists.
Yeah, I feel like you guys just hit on so many like trigger points for me. I mean, first of all, I think your friendship is beautiful. And I think there is something super special and intimate about the conversations that we have when we're high. And I also think it's really telling to like understanding someone's connection, because you're able to be really vulnerable with someone in that kind of setting and really share like thoughts and dreams. And so it is a really beautiful thing that women share. You also hit something. I have never walked into a smoke shop and felt comfortable, period. Like
No.
never. I've never had a positive experience. And to your point, like I remember in college, Kaylee and I, when we were living together in Austin, we also relied on men for a lot of those experiences. And so when we would have a negative experience with that man, like that meant that just like cut off our kind of like fun or like our supply for a while.
Yeah.
And so, and also like there's a safety factor of that too. Like we put ourselves in so many sketchy situations at that time of our life. So I love what you guys are doing and really giving the female the power to like make responsible decisions for herself and enjoy something that, we're entitled to do. So plus, let's talk about aesthetics, okay? Call it
Yes.
bullshit, but like I agree. Like I would love, and I'm gonna go shopping on your site after this conversation. I would love like something pretty that like makes my cannabis and all of my things look like very tasteful. So I'm very pumped about that. But I was kind of more curious and why, or like tell me about hemp, because I don't know shit about it. And so I would like to learn about the benefits and like just kind of give us a little rundown of what hemp is.
Okay, so this is something that I'm really grateful that we have the degrees we have, because studying biochemistry is nuts, but it allows us to look at really complex things and not be afraid of them and understand them. So hemp is the cousin, you could say, of what is federally illegal marijuana, which is what everyone thinks of when you say weed or pot or anything like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
So these two plants, they're cousins. So they're derived from the same thing. They have the same genus name, but a different species.
So they're both cannabis. So cannabis is up here, hemp is over here, marijuana is over here.
So it's a cousin that we like. We like.
Yes.
Okay. We hang out with at Christmas.
Yes. The difference between them is the concentration of what's in them. So marijuana has historically higher levels of THC. That's the psychoactive element. It also has all the other cannabinoids that's in CBD. CBD is just dominant in those cannabinoids rather than the psychoactive.
Mhm.
So when you're thinking about this in terms of like real life, so if you're making pasta with sauce, right? And you're making a tomato sauce and you have garlic and you have onion and you're doing your thing, you're adding basil, all these things, and you serve it to your friend and she's like, oh my God, like I'm so obsessed with garlic sauce. Like I love garlic. I live for garlic. And you're like, yeah, I mean, there's like a ton of stuff in there, but like, yeah, the garlic's good. I love garlic, a lot of garlic in there, but it's, you would kind of call it like a tomato sauce. And then that would be maybe like marijuana. And then hemp would be like an Alfredo sauce where there's still a lot of the same elements, they're just in different ways. Or even closer related, like if you were to make spaghetti like marinara and then like a bolognese, like there's really not a lot of difference. It's just in what is turned up and what's turned down in the plant. So marijuana has been illegal, I believe, since the 70s was really when they harped down on it. And it had a lot to do with the Mexican community. And legalizing hemp in 2018 had a lot to do with the diversity of the plant. Before hemp and marijuana were illegal, hemp was used. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was farming hemp and smoking hemp like nobody's business.
They were actually pushing the use of hemp, and they were paying hemp farmers that was a big deal. Crop.
It's one of the highest yielding crops when you're looking at what that plant can actually be used for. The part that you smoke is like the flower. So like if you think about a whole plant, the part that's just like the pretty little flower on the end, that's that part. The fibers can be used for fabrics, textiles, like so many things. They're making concrete with it now. Like there's so much you can.
I didn't know that.
Hempcrete, girl.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So
that's amazing.
So hemp was federally legalized in 2018. There are states that have legalized marijuana, Colorado, California, those are the big ones in 2014. But federally speaking, you can go anywhere in the country and buy hemp, and you can take it on an airplane, interstate travel, no problems. You can get it delivered to you in the US, it doesn't matter. The issue with the hemp industry, however, is the lack of understanding and regulation, because it's something that was suppressed for so long. There's no information, and there's a very small amount of respectable research done on it. So when I say there's not a lot of regulation, what I mean is coming from the dietary supplement world, when you're dealing with like, okay, I have this powder that's going to help you breastfeed, right? And I have to say the active ingredients. I have to have documentation and testing to prove the amount of active ingredient that I've said is in there. And there is a certain amount of that active ingredient that has to be in there for me to say it will promote breastfeeding or breast milk. There's all of these rules you have to have. Those rules don't really exist for hemp. And so what there's a lot of in the industry is people taking advantage of that and not having any proof, not testing their products.
You get the product, slap a label on it with a green logo.
And it's at the gas station.
So are they blending? Like, is that kind of, I guess, do they do like blends or something of like not pure product? Or is it really just like they're growing and whatever it is, even if it's not like a true cannabinoid or hemp, they're selling?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when you're thinking about when you have a crop and you grow it and you take that flower, you have to make sure that that flower has less than 0.3%, 0.3% of THC per weight by volume. And it has, there's, you know, if this product was going in a skin cream, you know, there would be pesticide testing, antimicrobial testing, heavy metal testing, all of these testings that have to be done by a third party. And you have to have all of that on file. And Target won't let you sell that product in that store if you don't give them that piece of paper. You can't do it. It's not going to work. But for hemp, like there's a very small amount of testing they actually have to do that's not really protective of a consumer. And they can put things in it, like you're saying, like a blend, or just not the high quality. They're not testing to make sure that it's in their parameter. They're just kind of saying, is it less than 0.3% by weight? We're good to go. Let's get it out. Like, it's not like
wow,
mold in it, you know?
That's super interesting, because I remember when we were kids, like when Kaylee and I were 17, they came out with something, and I don't know what legally it was called, but it was called, we called it Fleed, because it was like fake
Oh my God, is
weed.
it a salvia?
I don't,
It's synthetic.
yeah.
but we
Oh.
would buy it at the gas
Sure.
station. It was synthetic,
Yes.
and it would make people like absolutely crazy. Like,
Yes.
it's not cute. So that's why I was like, is it like a blend? Is it chemicals? But
Yeah. So that's, yeah.
huh. I'm interested by that, because I feel like, to your point, like I love Alfredo sauce. So like, if we're going to use that analogy, like we'll take a food analogy all damn day. But do you feel like then consumers don't like understand or know enough about the product to be shopping it versus like traditional marijuana? Because Kaylee and I have recently kind of learned about the psychoactive portion, like THC, and how like a lot of times as consumers, myself included, like I was under the understanding that it would actually reduce my anxiety, but it actually will in turn do the opposite, because you fixate on the problem. And I'm assuming then with like using hemp, because there's not the psychoactive volume of ingredient, correct me if I'm butchering all of this, like science, I don't know, but like I feel like it would be such, I mean, or maybe it is a big market, I don't even know about it. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's a huge market, but the problem is they worked so hard to make people hate cannabis that these older generations, they literally have no idea what these products are, and they have no idea how it could help them, and they don't even know the difference between THC and CBD at this point. Most people don't. So when you're shopping for a product, like say maybe like a CBD muscle cream, well, what if you have a job that you get drug tested at and you're confused, like, is that going to show up on a drug test? Is that going to get me high? There's so many different products out there. It's very overwhelming, even for us who we are in this every day. And when I walk into a CBD store, I'm a little bit overwhelmed by all the different labels and the different, like what they say they do. So people just really don't have a good idea of how it can help them and what it actually is as like a foundation. So it really inhibits people when it comes to choosing products that are correct for them.
So who would be the ideal consumer for someone like trying to enjoy cannabis or CBD?
So I think with what you're talking about, with experiencing heightened anxiety and paranoia from the psychoactive element of marijuana, CBD is something that is an awesome opportunity for you.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about the times that you've enjoyed having a joint or whatever, and the benefits that it gave you of maybe like a sense of physical relaxation, maybe it helps you be more present. Maybe I know some people say that it makes when they look at nature, it's more vivid, like it helps with that. And those are all really thanks to the CBD. So with CBD, you have to be careful with the claims that you make, just like that, like with the FDA, if you have a CBD company telling you this is a magic potion pill that it cures this, there's one person on TikTok that I personally just really have a lot of animosity towards, because she does dances and she's like, cannabis strains for bipolar disorder. And I'm like, nope,
Oh.
We're not going to do that because
Why does someone have to ruin it for everyone?
I know. And,
Shut the fuck up.
and she does it for so many things. And I understand that she is looking at, there is research on different terpenes and different cannabinoids and what they do, but there's not enough to state that you can, anyone telling you they can treat any disease that isn't a doctor, we're just going to move on from that.
Yeah.
But it is things that you can say about it is it's one of the greatest anti-inflammatories that you can have on this planet. Your skin is the biggest endocannabinoid receptor. So your body already has the technology, you could say, to process cannabinoids and use them. So if you think about your body and the thousands and really millions and billions of reactions going on in your body at all times, right? So maybe your skin cells, like you get a cut and your body's like, okay, we got to clean it. Then we got to make new skin cells. We got to, all of those reactions are happening. And the cannabinoids in CBD are like keys that fit in the locks of some of these reactions that help.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
I love that.
I want to go eat some
Rats
CBD.
actually have them too. The endocannabinoid system. That's where they started doing the studies on them.
Mm-hmm. So
you
all
said
of
bats?
these different keys will fit in reactions.
Oh, okay. I was like, bats are so cute. Okay,
You're like, I haven't seen any study on that, but I'm gonna look it up.
I'm gonna Google it.
Oh, bats
That's
are
so
so
funny.
cute. That's hilarious.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to know. So I know there's like we kind of touched on the challenges and what people think of THC, marijuana, weed, pot, whatever you want to call it. Would you say your biggest challenge in your business is kind of putting out like, look, this is good for us. It's not all.
Or do you feel like we're old and you guys already have the right like client and they already know?
Oh shit, I didn't think
Honestly,
about that.
So when I lived in New Braunfels, I was actually very surprised at the reactions I got when I talked about my cannabis business. Like I was talking to this group of old countrymen and they were all like, so if I have something on my elbow that hurts, like they were all coming to me with all of these questions and they actually all went to the CBD store I recommended to them as a group, like a little field trip. So honestly, people are very receptive. What has been difficult is advertising, getting blocked on social media, like the actual media part of the business and like getting a bank account. And that has been very difficult, but the public opinion has actually been really great, like from all ages. Like my mom is over here taking gummies now, and she was not about that. So people love it, but the regulations on like advertising and stuff, they hate it.
It's kind of interesting, like you said, public opinion has just like continued to increase because I think we as consumers are becoming way more interested in like natural products to make us feel good from the inside out. But like because regulation is so slow, it's like, hey, you can have this business now where you can sell things that help people, but we're going to make it pretty hard for you guys to like run a successful business. Is that kind of?
Oh yeah. They've done everything they can to take us down, girl.
The man.
Yeah, it's definitely obstacles with payment processing, what you can have on your website, what it can say, the process to just be able to accept credit cards. I mean, that was like months of work.
Wow. Are you guys learning this just by trial and error or okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, we got preyed upon, you know what I mean? Like there's predatory companies out there for the payment processing. Like you really don't know what your experience is working with a company until you work with them. Yeah. So we've had to kind of make some adjustments there. So it's taken a lot longer, I feel like, than we anticipated for our business to be running and moving. But we have learned so much about a partnership. That's like, you could do a whole thing on just the partnership, so the actual business side of it, like it's just a huge process of trial and error.
Wow.
So hitting on partnership, actually, tell us like a little bit about how that works.
I think that in the beginning, because we had a really solid friendship, we were able to, and we were really inspired. And so it was easy for us to kind of naturally gravitate towards what we're already good at. I have always been a planner, an organizer.
Virgo.
That's
love
great. It's been our
structure.
dynamic.
Like I'm the one, I'm paying the sales tax. I know
Mhm.
the EINs. That's me. But for a really, really long time, I call it juicifying our content, and that's where she comes in. She taught herself how to design a web and build a website and then did it. And it was really funny. I would wake up at like 4 a.m. and see all these emails because it was my email attached to the website of like, this has been installed, this has been uninstalled.
Like
this has
2
been
a.m.
like just and you got to let her do her thing. But I think that we kind of naturally fell into those roles. And as the business has progressed, we've gotten more comfortable mixing because
Mhm.
a true partnership, we just have to be able to be interchangeable
Yes.
to a level. And I think that we got an astrology reading for our business and our partnership. It was so fun. And something that she said was our planet of communication was in the same house, your eighth house, which is like the house of the mystic and like deep stuff. And I think that placement really allows us to have conversations about whatever needs to be done, or if something is off or something's happened that someone's upset about or whatever, we're able to have those conversations drama free.
Yes.
It's not personal. It's not how we see each other. It's not about our friendship. And I think that is crucial. In the very, very beginning, we drew out a partnership agreement and we talked about, if you want to leave, what are we going to do? If I want to leave, what are we going to do? If we have a fight so bad that I don't ever want to speak to you again, what are we going to do? Because going into it with that level of responsibility and understanding, like we formed an LLC in the state of Texas. So I am not going to look foolish doing this. I don't want her to look foolish doing this. And we both respect each other enough to work through whatever needs to get worked through so that at the end of the day, our business is first. Because for both of us, our friendship and our business are so important to us that we're just not going to jeopardize them for stupid shit, to be honest.
Yes. And we did like all of our time in San Marcos was literally going on walks. Like we would walk through the cemetery,
like crying
and like do our
cemetery.
shadow work.
You
So
know.
we did our shadow work together. So we know each other's triggers. We know what each other has been through. Like we know what we struggle with. So it's always just having that amount of respect and understanding for another person. It's
Mhm.
never like, well, you said this to me and I'm mad. Like it's never gotten to that point.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we both have the same goal in mind.
Mhm.
And we know that if there's a problem, we can fix it. And that's just that. It's like she said, it's not personal
at all. That's really the key. We've had friends that we've known who have business partnerships that have drama and they're going through, and we're over here like, oh my God.
Yeah, no.
I got somebody in the parking lot.
Yeah. Because it's too important to us. And for me, I really struggle with a lot of negative internal thoughts. So like my whole like everyone and so for me, when those thoughts creep in, I can say to myself, like, I know at the end of the day, Tara's never doing something maliciously towards me. So I'm not gonna like, on that. I'm gonna move on. So yeah, I think it's just about communication
and working on yourself is really what I feel like makes the partnership thrive. Because like I can't work on you, you can't work on me. You know, we're in this for ourselves, but when we come together, we're like a whole person.
I love that.
Yeah, I think they
literally just because it sounds like y'all set yourself up so well that like nothing's gonna be able to break y'all.
Oh, and yeah. When we didn't know what was going on. Like that was when shit was not even that bad. Now it's like, oh.
Yeah. It always amazed me, like in the beginning of the business, being like, I really had no freaking idea what was going on.
I don't think we ever do.
No.
Like, and then we get into it and then we're like, oh, but that's like the fun thing about life. It's like just fucking do it. And
I agree. I love how you pointed out like letting you both do your strengths and what you're good at, but then like having the switch of like having to be interchangeable. I know that's something Kaylee and I can speak to, of like we are yin and yang and we know what we're good at, and we've definitely like at least this season have like really challenged ourselves to do things that we're like normally are not comfortable with, which has been so fun and a growing experience. And I think it's so beautiful to hear how you guys communicate with each other, because having tough conversations, I think, is like the staple of a friendship. And I think a lot of times we get like lost on the mark with that with our friends, and like people become yes men to us, and just like because we need validation and we like seek support, and that's beautiful and we should, but like Kaylee's gonna be the first bitch to hold my ass accountable with love, like with love of like, hey, I love you enough to say
being
this.
crazy.
Yes. So I think it's really cool how you guys have set a really good example of like how you can be in business with another woman and your best friend, because it's not easy, but it's
well, you know, you hear about like the roommates, like the best friend,
the tragic roommate. And now you can't go get your freaking cheese out of the fridge.
Oh my God.
You know, and I think we both went through those scenarios. So for us, it has to be a priority. You have to know in your mind, like, I'm never going there with you. It's never happening, because I just it's worth too much to me.
And I think you hit on it too when you said like having to talk yourself down off of like negative internal thoughts. I think assuming good intent about the people that we love and respect is like everything too. Like I know if I read a text from Kaylee and it sounds like cold or short,
me as fuck.
I know that Kaylee's like in the middle of juggling like a bajillion children and a business and other things, and she like I then like have to flip my brain of like, oh my gosh, she respects me so much to like give me 5 minutes of her time like today. You know what I mean? Like it's just all about how we talk to ourselves too, of how we can like interact with other people. So
yeah, because how you read something is you. And so Evie and I have implemented a new strategy that we learned from her boss, which is the good old thumbs up text. You know? Like we know if you get a thumbs up,
don't read into it.
It's good vibes.
It's done.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Turn that off.
I love it. Okay, Kaylee, start sending me thumbs up.
They work. I'm telling
you. Because
it's
not, if you get like a okay period,
then
or
it's like oh my God, why didn't she say okay? Why?
Oh my God.
It's like you're thinking about it and you're like, well, I didn't really like how she was like, okay, you know, and you're going all day about it. But yeah, I work for a construction company, and the experience I've gotten from there is just running a business without the emotion. And knowing what you need to have in order to do that. And sometimes like a thumbs up emoji, it really is like the most pacifying.
It really, like we had no idea what it would do to us, but like you make the agreement is got it, you know? So like you don't read into it anymore. And we were like, the way that just like cured all of my anxiety about texting.
Totally. That's awesome. It's like, it's crazy how it's like, and even with like my relationship with my husband, it's like communication. If we just talk about something before we start implementing it, it's everything.
And also like you talked about too, I mean, just having that knowledge of like your best friend or this person, especially like your triggers and like all the things that you've been through, and like knowing you like the back of your hand. A quick example would be Haley and I were talking about having to like do something specific in our podcast. And I was like, I don't like it. I think it's a bad idea. And she was like, I think it's a great idea. And like kept pushing back on me until finally she was like, I know you don't want to do this because it makes you uncomfortable, but the reality is it's a good idea. And I was like, fuck, you're right. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, you can read someone so well that you're able to like push through the breaking point of like a really good idea when someone's able to like kind of punch through your walls of like, hey, bitch, I know you. Stop that.
Yeah.
Which we love.
I totally relate to that. I mean, I've been friends with Tara for a long time, and she is one of the funniest human beings like to ever walk the earth. Just naturally, like she's not like cracking jokes. She's just like talking like normal. And I think that I know her really well. She doesn't have sisters, she has brothers. And so the way she communicates, you know, boys, they tease each other. Like when you have brothers, like they're mean. Girls are mean.
We're on each other's
Girls
ass.
are mean in like a psychological, like I'm in your head kind of way. And boys are like, I'm just gonna like make you cry with what I say right now.
I'm just gonna roast you for no reason.
And so for me, I had to really like understand her humor and what she's saying, and when she's saying things that, you know, some of the stuff she says, you gotta let it go. That's just gonna go, and you gotta move on, you know. And just knowing her like that has been so helpful for me. But it's not just helpful in like how to navigate that person, but it's helpful with what our strengths are. We just had a meeting about the way that we communicate about tasks that need to be done now. I know how if I sent her a insane highlighted color-coded calendar that would make of my dreams, you know,
like her wet dream calendar.
I would send this woman into such a deep existential crisis.
I gotta be
like,
free.
She can't. That is like nothing on that's gonna happen. She can't even look at it really. But if we talk in a way, we had a conversation yesterday morning, and I said, I really want you to focus on posting and being our export of communication this week. And I want videos and stuff in this XYZ style. We met in person an hour and a half later, and it was like done and perfect. And she's like, I have this is good. Like, I'm a task master. She's our task master. Like, if she gets a to-do list, it's getting done. It doesn't matter what's on it, it's getting done. Me, it's too far. I love a schedule. She's like she sent me this TikTok the other day, like about Virgos, and it was like, wake up 9:05 a.m. Remember to wake up. She's like we are literally as opposite as they come. Like, and just understanding, like, I was feeling really stressed out one time, and I was like, you know what? I feel like Evie would really love a Monday morning meeting, like a every Monday morning meeting. I text her that, and she was like, do I need to get a divorce? I'm leaving my husband for you.
Hard eyes.
9 a.m.
How often do you guys meet for your business outside of your friendship?
I would say that we have some sort of meeting, honestly, every day, but our formal Monday meeting is like our main planning, what really needs to get moving and done and what needs to be focused on, and then kind of some daily check-ins on how that stuff is going. But yeah, we have conversations about the business every day. Because you can fall into the trap of planning too much and then not doing enough. So if you set up your week with like, okay, this is what needs to be done by the end of the week, then you kind of like go off and fly, do what you need to do. And then at the end of the week, it's like, okay, what got done? What still needs to be done? So that you're not like, because this is not a 9 to 5. Like, we're not just sitting at the computer all day long just doing whatever we can. Like, there's things that pop up that need attention. Sometimes it's like 9 p.m. and we have to do something, or, you know, like, it's just, you kind of, we always say we wake up every morning, what do we got? What do we got? Like, solving problems.
We talked to an entrepreneur recently who called that exactly what you just said. What did he call it, Kaylee? Bunny Rabbity? Study buddies. He said,
I think I might be one.
There's so many people that are caught in like planning phase of things and not the execution part. It's like everything has to be perfect before we just execute. But I thought that was really cute. And I'm like, okay, I'm also
Yeah.
study
Oh,
buddy.
I get caught in that so
But
bad.
that's why we're so great,
Yeah.
because like even in our astrology reading, literally she said that like Evie is like the structure, like literally the backbone. Like a lot of our best ideas are literally Evie. Like she comes up with all of this stuff and I kind of like put it in a picture frame and send it out
Yeah.
to the universe.
I can't. And sometimes it's things like I have a rough idea of how I want memes to go, and I can kind of start it off, and then I send it to her. I say, please juicify this. And then she does stuff to it that I don't know. And then it goes up on the site or the social media at some point that is not about, I don't know. But I had the gist, and I was like, can we have tomato soup on Thursday, baby? And then she does that.
How do you guys decide? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, what I was gonna say is what I love about that is a lot of the time you can get in the trap of being like, I'm this, but I'm not that. So when Evie and I first started, she was the planner, I was the crazy creative person. But when we pushed her to create, like she makes incredible creations, like visuals, all of that. Like she is very creative, but she would never give herself that because she never was put in that space to really thrive in that. So you really get to see different sides of yourself too, like when you get pushed out of your comfort zone, which I think is
absolutely, and a well-rounded like viewpoint or vision for your consumers because they get both of you. But speaking of that, like how do you guys decide what to design? And are you creating things like you yourself would use, or are you watching trends? What does that process look like for you guys?
So like as far as products go, I think it started like our essentials collection was based off of the essentials, what you need. We're joint girls. So what do you need to roll a joint? The bag it's going to go in, those high, like kind of upgrading the quality of these things that we were already buying and replacing those things. And now we're looking at what do we need and what can we see as like needs and what inspires us and what are our audience, our juicy queens, needing. What are they asking for? Like if they keep swiping up on Instagram stories and asking for a pipe and I'm not looking into it, that's a bad business decision. So I think it's for us about finding that need in the routine of these female stoners and intercepting that and finding out how we can make it at a higher quality and something that fits our aesthetic. We're really inspired by vintage smoking because that used to be such a huge thing, and that's really where the quality and the development of high-end smoking anything stopped. So looking back then at like the cigarette cases they made back then,
like the like I feel like everything
I love that. I love
like
that.
Like everything was a show, everything was an act. Now it's just kind of like mass produce, just get products out there, who cares? So when you look at like back then, like they didn't have phones, so like they were creating experiences for themselves every single day. They didn't have anywhere to kind of escape to. So yeah, like the vintage visuals, but also the vintage behavior, I think is a huge thing for us.
In that we had, our minors in English, and we took American literature after 1865 together, and we read The Age of Innocence. T. That book is T. It's like high society in New York.
Oh, okay.
Sounds sexual. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah.
And there's a movie on YouTube of it with Winona Ryder and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh. So Haley, girls' night.
Oh yeah. We just freaking love that stuff. And for us, the idea of creating these products, once we have it, then it's just kind of like Googling, how do you make that? And then finding out where it's made. And we've done one big inventory order, so we know where that's from, how much it costs, and all that. And so now it's about optimizing that and figuring out where we can get things sourced from in the US or in Mexico so that the shipping rates are lower and we can provide better pricing, and where can we get the best quality of what we want, and where can we find this idea that's in our head and execute it. Because when you're a small business, these big manufacturers, especially in the US, they have caps. They're not going to just make anything for anybody. So if you wanted, let's say our first order was like 150 grinders, they're not making that. They're not making stuff like that until you have a PO, from Bed Bath & Beyond or Target for however much consistently. Then they'll make your stuff. So finding people who will work with us, and the products we're working on now, we're looking even more local, and we found some crystal. I guess they just make cool shit with crystals.
They're doing like wire wrapping. We actually met them at
a market
we did, and they are so amazing. And we love working with local artists because it's like we're trying to make people feel some type of way, and like if you're just mass producing everything, like that's not really how you're going to get there. Like they have a message, and like they're here to do something, so working with local artists has been like so great.
So we're working to develop new joint holders and bowl pokers and things like that have crystals in them, that these people are hand making with specific intentions on what that crystal's for. Because something that we really feel like gets lost a lot in smoking or enjoying any kind of cannabis is a thought into it. And at the end of the day, it is a drug just like alcohol. And you could have, there are people that have healthy relationships with alcohol, and there are people that have healthy relationships with food and all these other things. And you have to have a healthy relationship with your plant. And if you can't reach for it without it being super, super mindless, that's something that you have to look at. Why am I doing that? And if you're in a position where you really want some inspiration, and you have a beautiful tray, and then you have this special roach clip that you want to use because you know that this stone is supposed to help you with that, that is something that, even if you don't believe in that stuff, in your mind is going to help you achieve that outcome that you want. So putting some sort of intention behind your use of, if you're using CBD muscle cream because you're working out really, really hard because you have a specific goal coming up that you really care about, and you know that using this plant is going to help your muscles recover, that's an intention. That's important too. It matters the same way as if you're smoking a joint because you're so tired after a workout that you want to fall asleep and never wake up. It's the same.
And not even rolling out of bed, hitting the bong, and like dying on the couch all day.
And even for business in 2023, I think it's beautiful that you guys are curating experiences with your products, because that is just like the power move. We're so personalized now. Everything should be an experience. Sorry, Kaylee, I interrupted you.
Absolutely. And
no, you're good.
Transition of that, a lot of big brands and brands that are big on social media for the past 5 years, it's been the influencer parties, and can you get all of the influencers together for $100,000 dinner party so that they all take pictures with your products? And there are some stoner brands who do what we do in our female market, who are like, oh my God, we just made this for a Kardashian, or we're doing this. Like, I literally don't give a fuck.
Get on TikTok and dance about it. We don't care.
I also cannot afford it.
Yeah, I just can't. Like, I'm not buying a $400 bong that Kendall Jenner has. It's
literally.
And that doesn't make me want it.
It sounds like everything y'all do is with such good intention. And I feel like that is something that's good for any type of business, is if you're trying to or wanting to provide intention behind what you're selling, it's going to always, I feel, be a win, because you're providing. So I love that. Question. What does the future look like for y'all? I feel like you have such a good thing going right now. I want to hear if you have any, future plans, or are you just like executing and killing it right now and like let's see what happens?
Oh, girl, we
Tell
got
her.
plans
Tell
on
her.
plans.
Tell her.
So we right now are focusing on expanding our essentials collection and our vintage collection. So we want to add more smoking tools like pipes and vintage bongs, and like some CBD pre-rolls, like just anything that a stoner queen would use, we want to have in our store. And we also are working more on our content as well, so that it's the entire experience. So we want to be the girls you go to for any question about cannabis, any entertainment about cannabis, any of that. Like, we're your go-to gals.
Yeah. And we're working really hard. Like she says, when we're talking about this stoner girl routine, there are some people who function really well smoking in the morning, and maybe that's something they want to optimize. And it's not about like, oh, I don't want to do that. Maybe it's about, well, have you tried a CBD tincture in your coffee in the morning? Maybe that's something you want. Or maybe do you at 2 p.m. when you have that hormone crash and you're like dying and exhausted, instead of reaching for sugar as a quick fix, like maybe reaching for a gummy or that oil again, or having something on you like a pre-roll or whatever to help you through your day, and understanding that, yeah, it would be just fine and dandy if everyone could wake up and have marijuana all day and be psychoactive and looking at trees. But we got to go to work. And we have to, like, I have to go to the grocery store, but I'm freaking out. And a CBD pre-roll is something that you could have in your purse, smoke in the parking lot, go into HEB and not be like, you'll just have that positive aspect of the relaxation. So we really are working on finding every part of why do you reach for the plant, and what can we do to bring a product responsibly to you that will help you with that. So that's what we're working on now.
I'm so obsessed. You guys are the resource by providing the information. You've got the product to give to your consumer, and you're helping them curate an experience, and that's your service. Like, I mean, come on, ladies, let's do it all. I know.
Come on down.
Okay, I got a question. I guess wrapping this up, what kind of tools or tips would you pass along to other female entrepreneurs who are interested in starting their own business?
I would say find yourself the most iconic business partner you can ever find, that you are comfortable with bringing stuff up to, comfortable with being embarrassed in front of, like comfortable with showing every single part of yourself. Also, invest in yourself. Say no way more than you say no. That one's for me. Carve out time for just yourself to also just have fun, because I think we can get really caught up in like we gotta work, or this isn't gonna work. But you really still have to have fun, because at the end of the day, this entire business was born from us having fun. Like, if you're just running yourself into the ground, you're never going to be inspired to create new things.
Yeah. And I would say additionally, believing in yourself and knowing that if you have an idea or some dream, that it came to you for a reason, and there's a reason that you thought of it, and it's because you're capable of it. And you are going to have to walk into rooms with people that typically really, really intimidate you, and sell them on yourself every single day. So you might as well get comfortable with it. I mean, when we wanted a bank account and I'm walking in and meeting the vice president of a bank, with my little rolling papers, trying to convince him to give me a bank account.
In a small country town.
Yeah, like you got to suck it up and make Reed like you,
Yeah.
So I think just being confident and being okay with being confident in it, and not second guessing yourself.
My heart is like tingling right now. You guys are so beautiful inside and out. Seriously.
It's perfect. It's seriously like listening to y'all. I'm like, oh, okay. So give us all the goods. Where can people find you, shop your products, DM you if they have any questions on all this amazing knowledge you just dropped on us.
Yes. So we are on Instagram at Juicy Hemp Co. And on TikTok, we are Juicy H Co. because we gotta hide a little bit on there. Our website is www.juicyhemp.co, not com.
I don't
co.
know .com.
Yeah, we don't know her. We know co. And if you go to our bio, the link in our bio on Instagram, you can find links to our YouTube, our Pinterest, and because we're over there, girl, we've got Baked, a little series that we did with Levo, the oil infusion machine where we're baking infused baked goods. We have a blog on our website called High Tea, the blog. And we also have a podcast, High Tea the Sesh, and it's on Spotify and Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. And that is also on the link is on our website, and it's also in our bio on Instagram at Juicy Hemp Co.
Just go to at Juicy Hemp Co on Instagram and you get linked up.
Yeah.
Amazing. We will definitely link all of that good stuff in our show notes as well so they can find you so easily. But this was amazing. I'm like, now I'm about to go shop your website and
I'm like the perfect gifts. I'm gifting to myself.
That's so
I'm gifting
true.
to yes, I love it. I'm here for it.
What do you
so
buy the
much.
person who has everything?
Yeah.
www.juicyhemp.co.
Juicy
Yes.
Hemp, baby. Okay, well, thank you so much for listening,
you,
guys. And we will see y'all next episode.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.